Hello YouTube viewers. In this video we're going to be making a pendant from Australian Pink Opal. The original intent was to make a matching set of earrings, but the stone didn't cooperate a little bit later on, as you'll see, and so we ended up with a small pendant. This is not actually opal. Australian Pink Opal is actually a trade name for a type of pink mookaite. We'll actually be working with some mookaite in a later video, but that's what they call it, Australian Pink Opal. And right here I'm cutting it into small slabs, trying to get a couple slabs that are the relatively the same thickness. That way I can start shaping them. And I'll grind on a little bit and trim them down some more. Right here I'm using 150 grit, and I'm just doing a rough end on the shaping to get the rough edges off and try to get them in the same shape and same thickness. Freehand cutting like that, sometimes I get just a little bit off, and one end will be a little thicker than the other. So here I'm fixing that. And now I'm cutting them to the same, so they're the same length and the same width as best I can. Later on the grinder, I'll finish them up and get them exactly the same. Now that I have them roughed in on the saw, I'll take them up to the grinder and clamp them together. Then it will make it a little easier to get them exactly the same shape and size. That way any angles or whatever that it may be off just a little bit, because this is all freehand, so we don't measure things, and it's pretty much by the eyeball. If it looks right, it'll be right. When you're working with earrings, you want them to be the same, but if they're not perfect, it usually doesn't show. I'm going to continue to use the 150 grit to shape the individual earrings, and at this point I'm still eyeballing them when I'm shaping them, and I'm not taking that much material off. I'm basically rounding the corners and the edges and keeping that basic rectangular shape. In my next step, I'm going to be drilling the holes for where the bail will go into the top of each earring, or what will be soon be just a pendant. This is this Australian Pink Opal, or pink mookaite, comes from Western Australia. It's really pretty. In these small stones, you don't get to really see all the different patterns and stuff that you can. I did include a picture of a much larger piece at the very end of the video compared to one of the other small pendant, so you can get an idea of what it looks like, with the larger patterns. It's really pretty. I am checking the hole for depth. I still go to about half an inch depth on these. Don't quite need that much on an earring, but it's somewhere about there. Maybe not quite half an inch, but close to it. I do drill underwater, and you can see occasionally there where the drill bit flickers, or it's actually hitting the top of the stone, and it hasn't got a bite into it yet, and the bit will actually twist and bend over. It's a good way to break a bit, but I just have to be really gentle and try to get that first initial hole started in the stone, and then it goes pretty easy. So now that I've got the holes drilled, I'm going back here and just going to take the 150 grit off and put a 320 on, and continue to shape and smooth the stone. The 320, like I said in another video, does still remove a fair amount of material, but at this point we're going to get rid of the deep scratches from the previous step, and just get the final shape on it, really. As I'm grinding here, occasionally I do drop these stones, and unfortunately they're small and they go right over the edge of the grinding wheel and down into the waste part underneath the grinding wheel. You'll see here in just a moment that where I've dropped one. Occasionally when you drop one like that and it goes along the edge of the grinding disc, it'll scar the stone, and I've had them do it so where it's really bad, and you just have to throw the piece away because it's beyond repair. But fortunately on this one that was not the case in the couple times that I dropped it. And I did it was not on the video, but when I brought it back and to go ahead and set the bail in it, I did notice a rough spot on it, and I had to take it back through the process a little bit and work out a scar, one of those scars that I didn't catch from before. And now we're going to go to an 800 grit and really start to put the shine to it. This stone is between a 6 and a 7 on the Mohs scale. Just for a reference, 7 on the Mohs scale is the quartz. Then you have topaz, corundum, and then the hardest being diamond at a 10. So this is a fairly hard stone. Quartz is very hard. Window glass would be a 5 on the Mohs scale, whereas porcelain would be a 7, and hardened steel would fall up to about a 7.5. Now we've switched to the 600 grit polishing wheel. Here we're working on the shine, and it actually will shine up really well on this wheel. But after this, we'll still go on to the other wheels to get a really good shine on it. These small stones are a little bit hard on the fingernails. I tend to grind flat spots on my nails. The larger ones, you have a little more real estate to grab onto. Where these, you just, your fingers are right down there against the wheel. And these wheels don't hurt except for the really coarse grit, like a 150 or the 80 grit wheels are those are really hard on the fingers. Now we're in the final 1200 grit wheel, that just before we go to the strictly a polishing wheel. This doesn't really remove much material, but does remove scratches. At this point, I'm about 2 hours into this project, I imagine, and but we're finishing them both up and just getting ready to put the final polish on them. Here's a little video, part of the video for you to kind of get a little better idea what how they're shaped and how they look. And I felt pretty good about them, and the first one polishes up and goes really well, and then you'll see. I'll slow the video down for it, and you'll see I'm just putting a little too much pressure on it, I guess, and it just explodes under my fingertips. Because I actually heard it and felt it. It just really popped. I was using a bit of water while doing this polishing, so it was keeping the stone cool, so it didn't pop because it was from heat. It must have been just pressure. When that stone popped, I was done. The other one had already been finished, so that's the results. It broke both ends of the stone off. Don't know why it happened. I didn't see any fractures in it. But we'll go ahead and mix up some epoxy here to set the bail on the remaining stone, and we'll have a nice little pendant. Not my original intent, but it'll work. I appreciate you watching this video, and if you subscribe, you can catch any future ones I'll be doing. Here's the beginning and after, and then the final one will show you the larger version of it that I've done before.